Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon. So today I'm going to be talking about the best counter to AP champions, which is Cassadin. So if you guys didn't see my last video, something I was mentioning was how I'm kind of deciding between Cassadin or Vex for one of the champions that will be a part of my champion pool for when I try to get solo queue Sovereign, playing mid lane next season. So far kind of leaning towards Cassadin after playing a bit more. I'm definitely not very good at Cassadin right now. Definitely learning the champion. So I thought today's video, one, we'd talk about, how strong Cassadin is and when to pick Cassadin, and then we'd also kind of talk about learning champions and how to sort of approach that. So we're laning against a Sovereign Akali right now in this game. But Cassadin's going to do quite well into a lot of these different types of champions. Akali, pretty much any AP champion for the most part. Like obviously there's going to be some that might be a little harder than others. But most AP champions you're going to have a decent matchup into because you're going to be able to survive the early game thanks to your passive, and then you're going to be able to just destroy it later on in the game. And so you're going to kind of see, that sort of strength with Cassadin. Cassadin's weaknesses are definitely the early game. I mean, the early laning, you're just not able to get that big of an advantage. That is just like the main thing that you're not able to do. And so you have to really kind of be aware of that. And you do, again, like you can see, even though I'm really good into Akali, I'm still not like hard winning these trades or anything. We still have to play them pretty well in order to kind of be ahead. Main thing I kind of tried to do in this lane was keep the wave on my side of the map for when Akali was hitting level 2, so that Akali couldn't pressure me with their level 2 Shroud, because I kind of knew that I couldn't get a super big advantage just level 1. Whereas say that I was a champion who could get a much bigger advantage level 1, I might have tried to have the wave pushing. So that wave management was the first little thing I did to make sure I'm in a fine spot. But the main thing that I've been doing in general when I've been playing a Cassadin, I've been playing, I think I played 3 or 4 Cassadin games yesterday, is just limit testing. So I'll play a matchup, I'll just run at someone level 1 if I think there's a chance of me maybe killing them. I'll trade with them really aggressively. I'm not going to be afraid to die or mess up, because at the end of the day, me losing 1 or 2 Cassadin games because I lose lane isn't a big deal. But it is a big deal if I don't know what lanes I can go aggressive in and try to play to kill and which lanes I can't. And so that's really what we kind of mainly focused on when I was playing these games generally. Now here, unfortunately, I get hit by the third ability, and so Akali definitely has a chance to all-in me here. But I think we ended up killing her. And then we almost juked this, but I wasn't quick enough, so I got hit by the red buff. So if I did juke that, that would have been really, really good. Flashing, but I didn't realize I was hitting level 5, and so if I flashed over the wall and then I ulted back over and I was more quick about it, I could have survived. So a little unfortunate. It is what it is, though. We still at least killed 1, but not very good because a big wave crashed under our turret. But that's the nice thing about Cassadin is definitely like your early game doesn't have to go perfect for you to be happy about your state in the game. As long as you're farming up well, you're understanding those types of things, it's mostly going to be fine. And quick mention about the build as well. Currently mostly going for mana boots, then I'll get the tier, then I'll finish Rod of Ages, then I'll finish Archangels, then Death Cap, Crown, and then whatever situational item fits the game after that. Oftentimes Infinity Orb if I can get that, ideally. And for the runes, I'm going for First Strike, in some games Electrocute in others, and then going for Sweet Tooth, Transcendence, and Seed Jar, and then going for Gathering Storm as the final rune. So I used to kind of prefer Infinity Orb, just Archangels Infinity Orb or Rod of Ages Infinity Orb instead of going Archangels and Rod of Ages. I've since been kind of preferring the double scaling, build that most people go. Originally, I'd kind of been like, yeah, in solo queue, I prefer having a bit more burst damage early game, but I decided kind of against that the more I've kind of tested it out. And then here, the Akali makes a really dumb choice, just roams for no reason, pretty much gives us a free push on that wave. So even if Akali got a kill there, I would be in a fine spot because I got an entire wave pushed. And so Akali's just losing a bunch of gold. I mean, this Akali is a pretty boosted Sovereign. They're one of the Sovereigns who like 5Qs a lot. So he definitely does some dumb things, but we end up getting an okay result here. Not perfect, but we do kill Akali. Riven is 1 HP, but sadly doesn't die, and then gets the ult reset because Riven's a cool champion. But at least Ornn gets the kill, so it's not the end of the world. You can see we're in an okay spot gold wise. I'm ahead quite a bit of Akali, like I said, boosted Sovereign player, so doesn't really know how to properly manage their wave. Just kind of roams on random timers and ends up giving us a pretty good early kind of advantage there. Which definitely helps us in the later parts of the game, but that's really the main thing you're focused on with Cassadin is just getting yourself gold-wise to the later parts of the game. Even if you're 1 in 5, you're 1 in 6. If you have that 3-item spike hitting Death Cap, especially after having your scaling items, you're going to be fine. You're going to have the chance to carry a game, and that's generally what you want to do on Cassadin, is just focus on those types of things. So that's really the focus here. And I mean, my team's doing decently well, so I'm not too super worried about getting into that late game. but as long as I'm able to get there on my 3 items, pretty happy about that. Usually the goal is just to hit the 3 item spike by 3rd dragon if possible. Even if you're just hitting it by elder, it's okay, but definitely trying to get it by 3rd dragon. The one thing that I will say whenever I coach a Cassadin player is that they, like, a lot of people when they're playing Cassadin, they just accept that their champion's a weak early game champion and they don't really try to trade. Whereas you can see I'm still trying to trade with the Kali and like actually take advantage of the strength I do have rather than just, you know, sitting on full health for the entire game. Because a lot of people, they won't actually pressure back, they won't actually try to do anything, they'll just accept that their champion's a late game champion, but you definitely have to be able to test the limits and figure out, even though I am a late game champion, when can I squeeze these advantages? Because in solo queue, the reality is your teammates aren't going to let you scale every game. Sometimes they're going to run it down and play really bad, and so you need to take advantage of any opportunity you are given by your opponent, but also still accepting that your champion is, you know, a late game champion, so it's not like you're trying to, you know, go crazy or anything like that. But if you see the opportunity, you definitely got to take advantage. Here, we'd make a pretty bad choice, trade pretty poorly. So I have to recall despite not quite having my Rod of Ages. Not the end of the world, though. We'll get back and we'll get Rod of Ages pretty quick after covering the mid lane. And then again, a lot of times what we'll end up doing here is just covering multiple lanes, you know, ideally. So we cover, you know, a mid wave, and then if there's another wave to go somewhere else, that's the main kind of focus. Rather than rotating over and over and over again. Because again, you're kind of a pretty selfish champion playing Cassadin, whereas as I showed you guys Vex earlier yesterday, right? When Vex, you know, my identity can be a bit more focused around my team, a bit more focused around roaming, but if I am playing the Cassadin, that's not really going to be the case most of the time. Most of the time, it's get my gold, get my items. I don't really care if my team does well, great. If my team does bad, it's fine. I'll carry on 3 items. That's really the mindset I try to have with this champion. That's the mindset I try to have with a lot of mages that are really like scaling focused champions, but especially Cassadin, who is like a mega scaling champion. I should have ulted towards here one more time to stack up my ult. It's like those little things that you kind of don't realize because you don't play this champion a lot. You know, since I don't really play Cassadin, I'm sometimes just not in the habit of stacking my ultimate when I know a fight's going to happen soon. So I should have ulted there one more time quicker to stack up the ultimate damage. If you guys don't know, stack up your ult. You click your ult, it'll give it a stack, and then up to 3 stacks. 3 stacks does more damage, but also costs more mana. So that's really something to keep in mind. So like you can't spam your ult over and over and over again, or else you run out of mana very, very quickly. But yeah, overall, just going back again, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You guys are going to see the strength of Cassadin later on in the game, but for now, it's mostly just, you know, farm, get my waves, make sure I'm in a fine spot, everything like that. So we'll skip forward a little bit here to a more interesting part when something actually happens, because you can see for now we're really just focused on getting gold. The enemy end up pressuring our turret. We're just clearing the wave. We don't really care. They can get our turret. Just trying to get our gold, hitting the archangels. Now, if I'm able to get archangels before 2nd dragon, I am happy. And most of the time I am, especially with these runes. Then my team gives me a nice angle to actually one-shot the Soraka there. And you can see my burst damage is still really good on squishies. And so it's also an important thing to understand. Later on in the game, Cassadin can kind of melt through tanks as well. But when you're in the early to mid game, you need to understand target priority really well and find where you can be useful. So a 2-item Cassadin, 1.5 item Cassadin, it's not a good champion, right? Obviously, Cassadin really needs to hit those later spikes. But it still has the burst damage to one-shot a squishy, and so if I see, you know, a relatively low health Soraka, or there is an ADC in the fight, I'm really going to want to be targeting them in most cases. So when you see those opportunities like I did there to go onto the Soraka, you definitely need to take advantage of something like that. But you can see as soon as we got that kill, then we go right back towards farming a side lane, and I don't really even mind dying here too much. I'm just focused on getting the wave. I know I'm going to die once Riven shows up. Dying on this timer doesn't really do anything that negative for me. I still get all my gold. You can see I'm still the 2nd most gold in the entire game. Riven is first, which, you know, makes sense. Jungle Riven, also a Sovereign player as well, by the way. Kind of makes sense that they're going to be relatively strong. But we're still farming up really nice. We got our gold in that side lane. We die before the dragon spawning, so that we're still going to be alive by the time dragon spawns if we need to go dragon. Or we can also go bottom side if we think we're not going to win the fight. Now, this fight's definitely winnable, and so me showing up isn't a bad idea if my team's in a good position to show up. But if my team's not looking like they're going to show up, then I won't. Here we see that, you know, it's going to be a 4v4. Ornn and Gwen are matching, so I end up being like, okay, I can probably go to this fight, see if I can do anything. I probably won't get that much value going bottom lane right now, and, you know, my team is strong enough where if Riven does die, we can definitely win the fight, and so it's kind of what I'm looking for. But definitely if something, you know, is going wrong, I should definitely not overcommit or anything. Just kind of, again, looking for that Soraka ideally in the fight. Because if I'm able to kill Soraka, like, the fight is extremely good for us. Just pretty much anytime you're able to kill a Soraka right away in a fight, you should. She's definitely a champion that becomes really OP the longer the fight goes. But then we kind of see that the fight's not really going well. The Gwen, you know, killed our teammate on the side lane, and so we just pressure the mid turret instead. You can kind of see how we have that choice. We don't necessarily have to go to the dragon right away, especially because one dragon's already been taken by us. And so instead we get that free mid gold with our Camille, and then we go for the bottom lane gold. So we could kind of prioritize that farm and that scaling rather than being too concerned about contesting that. So you saw how, like, I'm there. If my team needs me, I'll show up. But when we realize that, you know, nothing's really going to happen, we just get a bunch of free gold on the bottom lane and the mid lane, taking out 2 turrets and definitely furthering our own lead. And then looking to see if we can possibly one-shot anyone, but obviously doesn't really look like we can. So we just recall pretty close to death cap again. That's really my focus now, is like I need that, you know, 800 more gold, 700 more gold. Once I get that death cap, now it's like, okay, all of a sudden something shifts. And that's why you guys are going to see, you know, kind of the shift that happens. And luckily, you know, Caitlyn is a free kill here, so makes it a bit easier to get towards our death cap. Just need one more wave now. And then once you get on that spike, it's like, holy crap, the damage. That's why Cassadin is really satisfying, but it requires a lot of patience. So you need to be, I would say, if you're really good at farming and target priority, those are really the 2 kind of skills that this champion needs. Understanding, like, you know, where to get gold, how to get a lot of gold, like you've seen me doing in this game, even when I'm, you know, no crazy scoreline or anything. And then, you know, we also kind of catch out this Gwen here. I think we flash onto her. No, we don't. Oh, yeah, and then Soraka was AFK, so thank you, Soraka. I appreciate you for that. But yeah, if those are kind of your biggest skills, then I would definitely recommend Cassadin. Cassadin is a champion where, as long as you understand how to go even in lane, not fall behind, you're fine. You don't necessarily need to be super good at snowballing, right? Some people, they really enjoy snowballing, trying to, you know, get a big lead in the early game. That's really what I like doing. But with Cassadin, you need a lot more patience. So that's something to keep in mind. And then here we're just zoning off the Barons so that our teammates can get it for free. Basically just making sure they can't come in and steal or anything like that. That's another important thing, right? No real reason for me to just sit on that that Baron with the rest of my team. I do kite a Akali into here, which is pretty funny. But no reason for me to sit on there with the rest of my team. It makes a lot more sense for me to just go and zone someone, and then we do end up killing that Akali. So that was a little funny baiting the Akali third ability over the wall with our ultimate. And then yeah, at this point now we're hitting our power spike really, really well. So I'm mostly just looking for a recall angle whenever I can. Miss my ultimate because I'm just faker like that. We catch one more wave because we know another wave is going to be coming, because our wave is at our tier 3 currently, so theirs is going to be at their tier 3. That's just how it works, right? The waves are always going to be mirrored unless a wave got stopped by your wave or something. Otherwise, they're going to be mirrored, and so I knew that another wave was coming. I grabbed that wave, and now all of a sudden, got my 3 items, got my stasis, got my crown halfway completed, roughly, or I guess a third completed. And so now, I mean, I'm literally the most gold in the game. At this point, it's pretty much like someone shows up, I'm going to go one-shot them, especially when we get 4 or 5 items. But even on 3 items, like, you can pretty much one-shot squishy champions. It's kind of absurd, and so that's exactly what we go and do. We don't one-shot them because our teammate was there to help. But you can see the burst damage there is insane. And then I think I E-flash onto the Caitlyn as well. Ult over the wall to protect ourselves. And you can just see, like, look at this damage. Like, what the hell is that? What is that? Like, that's absurd, honestly. Crazy damage overall. Just, I don't even know what else to say. It's a very straightforward combo as well, by the way. And I have the stasis. I think I end up living here. Yeah, we do. Holy, like, dude, my champion is broken, actually. What the hell? But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward combo when you actually start going on to people. It's really just, you know, you ult onto them, third ability, first ability, second ability, or third ability, second ability, like first ability. Like, there's no, like, really important order most of the time. Just depends on the situation. Like, if you need to get the silence off right away from the first ability, or if you need to just hit an AoE to maybe, like, move minions out of the way, or really whatever. One important thing to keep in mind is that your second ability gets half of the cooldown gets refunded if you last hit something. So if you last hit a minion with your second ability, you refund half the cooldown. But in terms of the combo, it's pretty straightforward. You ult in, you do your abilities, you get out, you know, your ult's on a really low cooldown. Make sure you're stacking your ult up before fights, and then you're going to have insane burst damage like you saw there. So yeah, really not too complicated of a champion overall, as long as you understand. Like, it really is mostly a macro-focused champion. The mechanics of it aren't anything crazy. You know, maybe the more I play it, the more I'll figure out some more mechanical things that I might optimize, because it is a champ I'm newer at. But it's not a crazy complicated champion like, say, Zed or something like that, right? So again, just kind of looking here, making sure that if the enemy do walk up, we can get as much damage as possible onto them. Trying to focus on targeting the squishies if we see an easy angle, like this onto the like I used 2 abilities on Caitlyn and she nearly died. It's actually insane how much damage I do, and I think I don't know what their Soraka's doing anymore. But the game is pretty much over at this point with me being this fed. So you can just see again the overall burst damage onto this Gwen. Like, I'm actually just one-shotting people at this point, which is why it's so satisfying to play this champion. And again, anytime the enemy have a lot of AP, like they have, you know, they have Soraka, Gwen, Akali, they have a bunch of AP, really going to be a good pick in any of those types of games. Even if you're just landing an AP champion, it's usually still pretty solid in that type of scenario as well. Trying to one-shot the Riven, I don't think we do. Maybe we end up killing him. No, I got kind of scared, so we didn't end up killing him. But then, yeah, Akali just goes in, lets us kill her. Shout out to Akali for that. Thank you very much. And I don't even remember what happens at this point. Yeah, we go and get Baron. So I guess that's something as well. And then Soraka, for some reason, is just, yeah, I don't know. I didn't even really need to flash onto her, but I did for style points, I guess. And then we make sure to ult out because Riven can kind of one-shot us. Riven is really the scary champion for me, so I'm trying to make sure I don't get one-shot by them or anything. But at this point, we're just taking it slow, just, you know, going through the normal steps to end the game, grab the Baron, use that Baron to push turrets, and then eventually end the game. And if Elder comes up, then we grab Elder, obviously. But I don't even remember how long this game goes. I don't know if Elder even comes up. Oh, I just one-shot Soraka. Shout out to that, I guess. You know, we're mostly here to kind of learn about Cassadin, but, you know, I can also show you guys me randomly one-shotting their entire team, because, you know, that's kind of satisfying too. Just one-shot a Riven at this point. I don't even know. I think my champion's not balanced. Definitely not balanced. Holy fuck. That's insane. I don't know why I'm reacting like that. Like, I don't even remember this game. Like, I don't know, but, you know, it's kind of insane. I'm trying to one-shot someone else, but I'm getting kind of greedy here. You know, I wanted the Penta, but I don't think I'm getting the Penta, sadly. I cried myself to sleep last night because I didn't get the Penta, so it was kind of unfortunate, but it's all right. At least I won the game, you know. Got 17 kills. Hopefully, you guys will be seeing a lot more Cassadin. Like I said, going to be doing that Road to Sovereign solo queue once the new season comes. I'll make a meta report when the new season is coming out as well. Kind of give you guys info on what are the best champions, and hopefully you guys can kind of copy my champion pool if you just want a very straightforward thing to do. Again, champion pool for that will probably be most likely Cassadin, Syndra, Orianna, Echo, and Corki. And then maybe Ori, Syndra. I'll only play one of those. I don't know. Maybe I'll play both. And then I'll also share my champion pool for other roles. Like when I'm autofill, I'll have like one champion for each autofill role, maybe two. And kind of just give you guys an idea of how to play all of those champions. Kind of help you guys just have a pretty straightforward process. Help you guys with building your own champion pool as well. I'll make a video on building champion pool for anyone. Like, doesn't have to be the champion pool I'm having. And then, yeah, that's about it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later.